All right, welcome back to the governor. How to be a governor, or some of the lessons of being a governor. Let's go in a little bit more detail on some of the governor features. Let's look at some that are particularly very important. Black market contracts is basically you're trading some of your governor credit for biocaps, and you're a greedy bastard for it. No, I'm only kidding. Some people do it, some people don't. I see it as 250 biocaps, not a big deal. But let's look at a forced eviction. Enforced eviction is basically like a random port that does not do it. It takes the person off of the map, supposedly, until that person uses his account or activates his account in some nature sometime in the future. At that point, it performs a random port and that person appears back on the map in a random spot. If he's in an alliance or if he's not in an alliance, that's all irrelevant. This is basically he disappears at the time that the forced eviction takes place, and he reappears upon his next login. So let me show you how that's done, because this one in prison shackles are very much activated in the same way. I can do an example of how a forced eviction is done, because I do have one to do. So we're going to go out here and get the location of what the prison shackles is. So the person that wanted me to do the prison shackles was Louis here. They need him moved because he's taking up a spot, but he's active or sick and going to be out for a while. So what they want to do is they get him forced eviction done, and that allows him to disappear off the map and to be safe from being rallied or whatnot. In this particular case, they're going to leave him in the alliance, and then when he comes back, he random ports back onto the map, and everything's peachy keen. There have been some scenarios where I have seen him come back on the map outside of that. Now, I say outside of that, not knowing for sure that it truly is outside of that. It could have been because that person, clicked on the app on accident on their phone or something along those lines, and at some point during the login phase, it does the random port, and voila, you're back on the map and don't even know it. Anyway, let's get on with the example. So we're going to click on Louis here, and we're going to go into info. The same two buttons that we talked about in the first video appear on his thing. We have the governor option, or we have the governor pack. If we click the governor action, it takes us over here to perform all the honors, and it allows us to do all the rankings. Now, the forced eviction, if I remember correctly, you have to hit deploy here, and you select deploy, and then you go and pick the base, and then it's going to highlight deploy or cancel. Why this one's done a little bit different, I'm not quite sure. You would think that it's deployed just like the other ones. Once I hit deploy, this base is going to vanish off the map and supposedly not come back until such time that this person logs in again. This can be very useful, obviously. So I'm going to go ahead and deploy this, and it's going to ask me to confirm it again, make sure that I want to use this option, and I say yes, and voila, this person is gone. Once this person is gone, as with any buff that you're doing, it's a good thing to inform the person that you did it for that it's taken care of. So I'm going to write a quick message here, just say, hey, this is completed, and hit send, and that's taken care of, and now that part of being the governor is taken care of. There is a 2-hour timeout for these type of features. The forced eviction, the prison shackles, I believe has a 2-hour timeout, and the rapid finder has a 2-hour timeout. Well, let's talk about the rapid finder. We understand the greediness of the black market. We understand the enforced eviction, and the prison shackles is very much like the enforced eviction in as far as applying it. The only difference is this prevents the attacker from attacking any other chiefs for a period of time. It basically throws up a little red nest over top of them. They're not allowed to attack. They're not allowed to do a whole lot of things. This is used quite frequently when you're a spy in another state and you start doing attacks to try to get stats from people. They'll do prison shackles on you, or if you're attacking the wrong people and they have connections to the governor, they may do a lockdown on you and then pound the crud out of you. That's usually how I've seen it used. Rapid Finder is a little bit different feature. This is to help the governor locate people on the map to apply buffs to, or if the state is having problems with a particular individual and needs to enforce some kind of rules or that kind of thing. Rapid Finder can be used to locate that person. So basically, you type in deploy, you put in the name of the person you want to find. So let's say we want to find, let's say we want to find, who do we want to find? Oh, well, heck. Let's just see. Let's just come out here and just pick some random person out in the middle of nowhere. So we don't know where it is. So we're just going to scroll over into this area here, and we're going to say, well, I have a hard time finding anybody. I just need one base. Jeez. Come on, there we go. Okay, so we're going to go out here, and we're going to say that we're going to find that ABCD3FG, okay? Now, if I was back here and I knew I was looking for ABCD3FG, and I was here and I have no idea on the map where he was, and I went to look for him right now, I wouldn't know where he was. So I could go into the governor and I could do come down here to Rapid Finder, and I could say, hey, I need to find ABCD 1, 2, what was it? 1, 2, something or other. You can just do the first few letters if you want, hit done, and do a deploy, and a confirm, and it says that chief is not found. The good news is if you misspell it, it doesn't mess anything up. It was ABCD 1, 2, FG, I think, or something like that. And the chief is not found. Well, what the heck did I do wrong? ABCD 1, 2, 3, FG. It's very, very particular on what you type in. So in this case, I am going to type in my name, and it is going to go out here and find me. And when it does that, this appears over top of the person who you just found. So no matter where it was in the map, because Mapman is me, my settlement here, it located me on top of there. Now, keep in mind, there is a record of what's being done here that's available to the public. So you can see here that the governor, Mapman, deployed a forced eviction on Louis, and Governor Mapman deployed rapid finder skills on Mapman. So if you're out there looking for someone, and you're looking for, let's say Norman Bates here was looking for Yoda, he was governor and wants to play a joke on him, then he could deploy that and find him there. So that's the way the Rapid Finder works. There's a lot of good purposes for it. There's also a lot of ways for it to be abused. Then we have all the different state buffs that we've talked about a little bit earlier. Fast works, which increase construction speed. Those are usually done during the survival of the fittest and during SVS prep stage. You do that for construction either on day 1 or day 3, depending upon where it is for the event. It has a 7-day cooldown. It will run for 24 hours, and it will not start for another 7 days. No matter how late you start it, you are going to have to start it late again the next time. Research Accelerator gives a 10% buff to the state and all people doing research for a 24-hour period. It has a 7-day cooldown, and no matter how late you start it, the next one you start also has to be late. If you want to start it before 7 days before then, not going to happen. Troop treatment, same thing. You are limited to, I want you to notice here, you are limited to 1 fast works. You are limited to 1 research accelerator. You are limited to 1 troop treatment. And you are limited to 1 training incubator. Troop training speed increase of 30% for 24 hours. That means you have the 1 of 1. Now, If you look up here a little bit higher under Rapid Finder where we executed that one, you'll notice that we have 55 and 56 left. And if you look a little bit higher under Forced Eviction, we'd have 13 or 14 left. It seems like a lot of forced evictions, and it seems like a lot of rapid finders. Sometimes it is. My first time being governor, I used, I think, 2 forced evictions and 1 rapid finder. But I've seen enforced evictions go, all the way up to 14, especially when there's merges going on and people need to get rid of some dead bases and stuff. Instead of killing them out or burning them out, it's a whole lot easier and a whole lot friendlier to your friends that are no longer playing that you hope we're going to come back to evict them than it is to do that. So as the governor, your job is to manage all this for the entire state. Your job is to make sure that the different honors go out to different people, the different buffs go out at the right time. I suggest you issue the buffs in 24-hour chunks, either from reset to reset or from 12 hours into reset to 12 hours into reset. And the reason I suggest the 12 hours to 12 hours is either A, you're not available at reset, it's the middle of the night for you, or B, you like to split the days. So let's go through this quickly, and I will probably create another video with a visual to kind of highlight I use a spreadsheet to do this. It basically shows Monday the first half, Monday the second half. So in other words, from reset to 12 hours in, from 12 hours to the 24 hours mark. So if I issue it for both blocks from reset to reset, that's the 24-hour period, and then I can issue it to somebody else for the next 24-hour period. I can also choose to slice it halfway through the day, issue it for the second half of day 1 and the first half of day 2, and then the 24-hour timeout runs out, and I can issue it to somebody else starting in the middle of day 2, and they get that block, and then they get the first block of day 3, and then the cooldown wears out, and I can do it again in the middle of day 3 and again in the middle of day 4. Some people choose to do that in survival of the fittest and in the prep stage. It's very convenient to have 2 people be able to use the Patriot award, which basically increases your troops. So you have the Patriot Award, which increases your troop training speed by 50% and gives you a capacity of an extra 200. You have the Iron Fist, which gives an extra troop attack for 5% and march capacity of 250k or 2.5k. You have a War Wolf, which gives out a troop lethality of extra 10% buff. You have the Master Medic, which is very helpful for those that are extremely wounded after SVS or Capital to get some healing, an extra 100% added to your healing, and an extra 5% added to your hospital capacity. I'm not sure what that does, how good that does after the fact, but maybe during a war it would be very helpful. The Mighty Ox gives you an extra basic resource production of 80%. This one's usually used on smaller players that find that resource that comes in from your farms and stuff useful. And then you have the Chief Strategist, which is a construction boost, a research boost, and a training speed boost of 10%. The all-around construction one strategy is usually used for people doing research or construction, like upgrading all their plasma buildings, and then doing the research in the plasma building, or just doing general research. It's very, very popular. Second very popular one is the Patriot, which gives you an increase in training speed. The rest of them can come or go. Sometimes you go to an entire cycle without using or issuing them. A lot of people like to issue, like the War Wolf and that kind of stuff to people going to the reservoir raids and that kind of stuff. Anyway, the markings are not used quite as often, but you do have, the Sloth, which gives you, negative 10% on all of those. It's the opposite of that. You have the Donkey, which I like just because of the name, so I usually give that to my my FTM friend, and I hope she sees this video someday, and she'll know what I mean, because she's the donkey, not me. And then, you've got like the Chicken, which gives you a minus 2% of attack and march, shrinks your march, and reduces your lethality. These are usually given out when there's, the only time I've ever seen these used was during either jokes, like we did with the Worm earlier, or the Donkey, which I've done before with FTM, or Sloth or something like that as a joke, or when there is an illegitimate war in the state and they find themselves on the opposite side of the governor. Anyway, I think that's pretty much it for the basics. The rest of it's kind of details. I suggest that if you are going to be the governor, or if you've already been appointed the governor, that you create yourself a list of who gets what buff on what day. Either you do it by day, from reset to reset, or from whatever time to whatever time you choose, and just create yourself a schedule. It's very easily, it starts off thinking, oh, I've got this, it's nothing to remember. It gets very complicated by you getting 10 or 12 different emails and messages from different people. You promise this, you promise that, and then the next day you don't remember all the different promises you made. I've seen it over and over and over where people get confused, and then one mistake leads to two, and two leads to three. So it's not a big deal to mess things up. I don't think I've seen anyone, including myself, make it all the way through without screwing something up. Most of the time, people are very forgiving. Just be honest with them. And keep in mind, your job here as the governor is to be a fair governor to all the people of the state. We're here to help the whole state, not just one alliance. So make sure you're fair to everybody, honor everyone's wishes, although the requirements for getting a buff are your own. So although I say be fair and all that, I don't mean just create a list and give it to everybody who asks because they ask. You may have some restrictions. Some people make restrictions on you have to have a certain number of speed ups in order to get the Patriot buff. Other people say, in order to do, you need to prove that you have enough speed ups for research or for construction, or that you have enough plasma to do something or other, or give it to the person who has the most needs that particular day. That is up to the governor. The governor is going to decide where the packs go. The governor is going to decide who gets the buffs. The governor is going to decide if they're able to do forced evictions and prison shackles and that kind of stuff. At the same time, there are a lot of people that depend on the governor to make sure these happen in a timely manner and they get done on time. And that's kind of important, especially during the prep stage, because the state winning the prep stage sometimes depends upon these buffs. Or you have the entire state sitting there waiting for you to start a buff at the reset, and you can't start it for an extra hour because last week you were sleeping during when you started it then. So anyway, that's it for today. I'll post some more about it later. Have a good one. Thanks, Governor.